So we measure bacteria indicators like you watched in the Vice video of the Enterococcus that were elevated in the Hudson River. We measure those things because pathogens might be, quote, lurking. So the E. coli, or in the case of the Hudson River video, the Enterococci, if they're there, how did they get there? So it suggests that fecal contamination happened. And if they're there, which they may not necessarily cause us problems, the things they're associated with that may have traveled with them, including pathogens, which could be pathogenic bacteria, viruses, or whatever, may have tracked with them. So those methods, though, unfortunately take like a whole day. So there's some molecular methods that have been developed that are really fancy, but they haven't gained as much traction around the world because they just require a lot of advanced instrumentation. So how do we do this? So we measure MPN, and there's a variety of kits. I've got my own kit that's that made through the university, that's going through the patenting process. But IDEX makes their own kit. You can use these kits anywhere in the world. People have a need for them. So a couple of the nephews of one of my former students, wanting to help out, they helped out for a few weeks while we were testing water in their community. And it's really important for people to be able to know that the water that they're swimming in is safe, as well as in some parts of the world that the water that they're drinking is safe for people to be able to drink. So these most probable number methods, these MPN methods, are a lot better for areas of the world or for just practitioners than trying to use those Petri dish methods. So the Petri dish method is a little more difficult. It requires filtering water and capturing the microorganisms and then putting it onto this very special Petri dish that has to be kept cold for a while, and then you culture the Petri dish. And that will tell you how many E. coli exist per 100 milliliters. The methods, both of these methods, require 18 to 24 hours of time from sample collection to filtering to getting the result. But you could do this. It's not hard. It's really easy to do, and you can enumerate how many E. coli are out there. The kits have been designed for public health professionals to be able to make decisions like whether or not a beach advisory sign should be posted to warn people, hey, don't swim here. Or maybe a drinking water quality advisory if you're in an area where there's elevated E. coli levels. So why do we measure E. coli? Well, we know that as E. coli levels increase, which you could measure this stuff. We measured E. coli in this class. For those that had a chance to experience it, it's pretty easy to do. So at East Fork, we gave people, a beach ball for enrolling in our study. We encouraged them to come back before they left the beach so that we can ask them what all they did while they were at the beach, how long they went swimming, did they eat food while they were at the beach. And then we called them 8 to 10 days later. We gave out about $1,000 worth of gift cards for their responding to our phone call a week later. We gathered all kinds of information about them while they were at the beach as well as after. And when we followed them up later, what did we find out? So the people that went swimming in the lake water had a 3-fold increased odds of getting sick. And then among those who were swimming on those days when the E. coli levels were the highest, they had a 7-fold greater odds of some type of gastrointestinal illness like nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, stomach cramps than the people that swam at the beach on days when the E. coli levels were the lowest. So E. coli can be a really effective indicator for illness, not just at this beach, but also across the nation. But E. coli aren't the only problem sometimes. I say not that the E. coli are the problem, E. coli are indicative of a problem. So there's another problem that exists for a lot of our inland water bodies, especially in agriculturally rich areas. So this isn't so much of a problem in southeastern Kentucky where it's more mountainous and forested and they don't have big agriculture. But from Richmond and west and even southwestern Kentucky and Richmond and northwest going into the Midwest, we have a lot of agriculture and a lot of nutrients, a lot of fertilizer already in our soil. Some natural, some because farmers have added it. And when those fertilizers run off into our rivers, lakes, and streams, they even travel down to the Gulf of Mexico. They cause harmful algal blooms. And these harmful algal blooms aren't just problems in the upper South and Midwest anymore. You can even look at videos of Florida beaches. So cyanobacteria. So cyanobacteria are blue-green algae. They do photosynthesis, but they live in the water, and they make the water like pea soup. So these pictures are from Grand Lake St. Mary's. These cyanobacteria can kill dogs. Cyanobacteria produce a liver toxin that can be bad for us as people. So I'm going to pull up a couple videos here.
We got to talk about waterfront in Captiva. A lot of people are saying this looks disgusting. Even smells worse, they say. These big clumps of floating algae in the waters on the eastern edge of Captiva. So why are we seeing it now? And more importantly, a lot of people are asking, is this stuff toxic? Fox 4's Carl Fortier on Captiva talking to beachgoers in the whole Sand Cap area.
Yes, we don't smell it up on Sanibel, but once we got down here, we caught a whiff of it.
Steve Hungerford and his wife are avid kayakers. The couple from Kissimmee were eager to explore the waters on the east side of Captiva. But the first thing they discovered once they got to the kayak launch were these massive clumps of floating gunk and a nasty stench.
It doesn't smell good for the area, too, because when we really noticed it down by the Green Flash restaurant, and that's a high-end restaurant.
The Green Flash is a popular restaurant right on the water, but with the foul-smelling muck floating right by their dock, their normally busy outdoor dining area was empty.
Today we decided not to open it, and so everybody's sitting inside.
So what is this stuff? Biologist Rick Bartleson of the Sanibel Captiva Conservation Foundation says it's a cyanobacteria algae, but a different variety than the toxic blue-green algae that clogged many southwest Florida waterways last year.
There's a lot of sulfur in all marine algae, and that turns into hydrogen sulfide, so then you get the rotten egg smell.
He says it's likely building up now because the system is out of balance, thanks to last year's massive fish kills, which haven't left enough fish to eat the nutrients feeding this algae. But he's convinced it isn't toxic to humans.
This is just sort of an aftermath of last year.
He says it won't be long before the algae breaks down and washes out to the Gulf, something Green Flash manager Sean Scott is looking forward to.
The smell was worse yesterday, and it's better today, and it'll be gone tomorrow. It's just a natural marine life cycle.
Bartleson says despite the smell, this algae isn't really toxic to breathe, but he does recommend that you keep your dogs away from it since they have been known to get sick from eating it in the past. In Captiva, Carl Fortier, Fox 4.
So when we look at the state of Florida, some of the problems that they're facing, so whether it be Sanibel Island or whether it be areas on the East Coast or even towards Miami, this lake, Lake Okeechobee, that many people know growing up, you've seen it on maps, you can clearly see it from even outer space. It's kind of that one big blue spot in Florida. Lake Okeechobee gets a lot of water from north of it, and there's a lot of sugar cane as well as orange orchards and things like that that exist in this area. The amount of fertilizers that are used on particularly the sugarcane fields have added a lot of nutrients, a lot of phosphorus and nitrogen, a lot of fertilizer that was made for the sugarcane that the cane didn't need, and it washes into the water. And Lake Okeechobee is been like pea soup at times, and when it rains really heavy, a lot of water comes into this lake, and the elevations of it get really high. So the Army Corps of Engineers has to let it go. It has to go somewhere. So there's three ways it can go. It can go south into the Everglades, the Miami Canal as well included. It can go out to the Hillsborough Canal, and people over here on the beaches, they don't want that. It can also go west down the Caloosahatchee River. Again, creating these issues around the Fort Myers area. So all the excess nutrients, whenever it's released to the ocean, this clear water, lots of sunlight, lots of nutrients causes these big algal blooms. So it's not unique to just the Midwest. So these pictures were from, Ohio, where the sick dog and Grand Lake St. Mary's. So these are from Lake Erie here. Dr. Tom Bridgman, University of Toledo, took these pictures. This guy on a jet ski is at Grand Lake St. Mary's, jet skiing on the water. So lots of toxins in this water. It's not good for us. So certain blue-green algae can form these blue-green algae blooms. And, in Ohio, during one summer, it was like all over. But these also can exist in Kentucky as well. We've even had blue-green algae blooms right at Lake Reba and Wilgreen Lake right here in Richmond. With regards to blooms in the news, Toledo, Ohio was in the news because their water was shut down, their water supply. So you can only imagine that when people can't drink water from the lake, people definitely weren't going to go to the beaches that were on the lake to go swimming. So they had their water warnings going out a few years ago because of it. You know, people had to buy bottled water because the water was unsafe to drink. And Senator Portman, the Ohio senator at the time, he still is senator, he gave his speech about, you know, what they were going to do, what Congress should do. And because Ohio's had so many blue-green algae blooms, this picture was actually taken from a lake in southern Ohio where they also have to have the algae bloom signs up. So he didn't even have to go all up to Toledo because he's got an algae bloom sign right in his backyard. So let's do a quick review here. All right, or actually I'll make a review video. So I'll stop the video here, then we're going to do the review.